Okay. Oh, wait. Hi there. This is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. And I'm here with Joel, who's in Virginia.
Hey,
And I
yeah,
was just discussing with Joel someone from Washington, Virginia, on the other side of the Blue Ridge Mountains. You said the NSA. The NSA is in
yeah.
Fort Meade, National Security Agency. Their headquarters is in Fort Meade.
The, the NSA can show up as being anywhere. They have
I
their
know,
choice
but
in this
I
state.
don't. Well, I wouldn't put them in Virginia or D.C. or Maryland. If I wanted to be surreptitious, I would put it in some place like California or Florida or
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
just yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't go
yeah.
with Washington, Virginia. That's kind of like, if I mean, there's really nothing to monitor. I don't have any plans to do anything. Uh, I mean, you and
Yeah.
I are we're planning to overthrow the government. I guess we're not supposed to say those are the words you're looking for. Overthrow the government, and that's a key word. Uh,
Keyword,
yeah,
keyword.
yeah, and
You
that
just lit up half of DC.
you're in your bunker right now. You're in the basement. They don't let you out of the basement. If you came out of the basement, I wouldn't be surprised. Is it a nice day today?
It's not a bad day. It's a little cloudy. It's a little cool.
Oh, it's cold. Okay.
I'm going outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah, I am going outdoors.
How about near a window or something like that instead of the basement?
Yeah,
Not near a window?
yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I can try and get a little closer to a window, but um,
Closer to so you're not
the thing is,
underground. When people make cell phone calls from
I like to
basements,
be. Yeah,
well, hey, listen,
how's that any
if they're
better?
going to kill, if the government's going to come after you with a drone, right?
Yeah,
Your signal's getting
yeah.
out, so there's enough signal for them to send a drone your way. So you might as well just send a clear signal. They're going to get you no matter what. It's not like
That's a those are comforting thoughts, Jim.
you're welcome. You're welcome. That's why I'm here for you. So
Right?
today,
Yeah.
I just discovered something new yesterday that if we ever want to add Jack we could do two people on, we could do probably two or three on the phone call.
Oh, cool. I'll let
I mean,
Jack know.
I can
See
add
what he
two
see
or
what he thinks.
three people. Pardon?
Yeah, I'll let him know. See what he thinks.
Well, no. I just didn't want him to think we were ignoring him and stuff like this. So, uh, it's April 27th, and we've had. It's been well over a month, and I guess everyone in the United States and the rest of the world actually has been dealing with. Well, I guess the rest of the developed world has been dealing with this, and it seems like we did start talking about new habits, right?
Hmm.
New
Yeah.
behaviors. We're saying how things changed people's personal behaviors and staying home. I mean, we're a couple hundred years ago. It wasn't unusual, but people were near their house or working in a field, and they weren't, commuting and stuff like that. They were unless they were one of those whalers that would go off for 6 months at a time to get whale oil and shit like that. But
Yeah.
we're we're starting to get data in on what actually is happening, and this is one thing I read that this earlier in the month the National Restaurant Association, the more benign NRA, I don't know benign. It
Mhm.
could be considering all the heart disease that could be, that could be created by
Mhm.
the Outback Steakhouse Bloomin' Onion. But they're saying in the next 3 months, okay, there's
So,
5 to 7 million, 5 to 7 million people in the restaurant industry are unemployed right now. And in the next 3 months, from the beginning of April to the beginning of July, the restaurant industry will see $225 billion loss. And that there's 2/3 of the restaurants in the United States are independent. And they're suggesting that 50% of those may not reopen. So that's a full, if you do the math,
Right.
about 1/3. The estimation is 1/3 of all restaurants are closed down. It's kind of eerie considering I'm in the, I feel like an employee of, let's say, a Zeppelin company, let's say the Hindenburg lines, and airplanes are starting to come around, but it's happening even quicker.
Yeah.
Or Western Union,
Yeah.
and the telephone is starting to
Right.
come out. Just how quickly things are changing that way. I think there was a very interesting thing along the lines, the timeline because of this pandemic has compressed the radical economic changes in our society, right?
Hmm.
So businesses closing, retail, restaurants, and things like that. I'm going to talk about. We're going to eventually. I want to talk to you about one that has actually seen an increase, and you probably can guess what that is. But this one right now, you could think about payphones. There's a gentleman that used to come in to a couple months ago. A guy's rather conservative. We used to have debates on the current administration. He was a businessman, and I am not, but I do know business. Just because I'm not a businessman, but his big thing is that he owned a couple restaurants, a couple chain restaurants, or what do you call those? Franchises restaurants. But
Right.
he
Right.
also had a bunch of payphones. He used to have a payphone business, and he used to make a lot of money from payphones. Just think of payphones, and
Right.
this may not resonate. This won't resonate with people that are under 30, because a payphone was ubiquitous in our culture. The phone booth. Matter of fact, the greatest superhero in America, thing Superman. That was his thing, going into a phone booth and changing. Even though it was a glass phone booth, he changed so quick people wouldn't even see him change. Why I never really understood that. If you're going to a glass, why is he going into a glass booth to change? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I could give some psychological.
No, but I mean,
insights
if you're
into that, maybe.
changing in a glass booth, you're not really trying to obscure people's vision.
Yeah.
Or plexiglass booth, actually, more
Yeah.
like a plastic.
Yeah.
What?
He's
I mean, he
refreshed
changes so quick.
exhibitionist.
He goes in, changes, it comes out. I think the phone booths he originally changed in weren't glass. It was only like the 1970s, 1980s Superman. In the old, the old serial movies they had, the old Superman, George Reeves, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, they came out. I don't know if it's a TV show or a movie, one of those ones that they just showed before the movies. They had, short films.
It was the heyday of phone booths.
Yeah, and it would just jump into a closet,
Yeah.
hop out of the closet, go in dressed like Clark Kent and come out as Superman. But here I'm digressing on the phone booths. And phone booths, it was a nickel and then a dime and then a quarter. And the last time I think I recall when they were out was making a local phone call was, that's when the cell phones were, people were cell phones were making an impact around 50 cents. But this guy said he used to make hundreds of dollars a month from phone booths. So individual phone booths, his businesses, the phone booths at his business would make hundreds of dollars a month. Just think of that.
Yeah, I think business entrepreneurial stuff
Yeah.
is sort of really being able to gaze at something and say, this is going to be it. Not just yet. So
Well, I mean, well, it was in the 80s when the bag phone and all those things started coming out. Those big cell phones that looked like World War II radios.
Yeah.
And then the 90s,
yeah.
the more the same, and it was more of the the elite carrying phones in their cars in the bag, and we call it a phone in the bag where you plug it in to the cigarette lighter. And then the late 90s, everyone, you started seeing the traditions of the 90s. More people started getting beepers. I mean, first drug dealers and guys sneaking out on their girlfriends and stuff like that. The beeper was a doctor. Did you ever have a beeper back in the 80s?
No, I never was a beeper guy.
Did you have a phone service?
No, I really had my own little private practice, and so I just, I had a voicemail.
Answer machine. Okay. But okay. Well, when beepers started coming out, and then they started bleeding out to him. People thought, "Wow, this is great! Everyone has a beeper. You get to see a call. You can send a message. You can send Everyone has a code. They can send the kind of message they're going to send." And then the cell phones started popping out. And then if you had it was still in the realm of the well-to-do, and people still needed payphones. And I'm not going to go over the psychological effect of everyone, but once the penetration made it to like more than the early. I remember in the mid 2007, 2008, 2009. That's when phone booths started disappearing. 2007, you still had a bunch of people without cell phones and stuff like that. And there's still people out there that don't have a cell phone. There's still people. They just can't make phone calls when they're out. I mean, are there still? I haven't seen. I guess in places where there's difficult reception, in airports and things like that, they still have it. And you can see how people started making that transition. It's when you have an incomplete understanding of what's going on, the change, and they started saying, "Well, phone booths are going, but people need to get access to their data." So what they started doing is putting kind of like internet access onto the payphone thing, right? But that was and they jacked up the price some, and they did that, did all this stuff to make it, when the phone, I think in the 80s they were starting to figure out like phone cards and stuff so people could make long distance phone calls and things like try to get as much money and revenue out of that phone thing. And then you had the cell phones, and then as a revenue generating thing, you see the first plans that came out. It was hundreds of dollars a month for a cell phone. Now you could get one for as little as $20 a month, maybe even some of you even less. But the more access and the more penetration in the market, that payphone is gone. And now when you run out, you're in a store and stuff like that, you're gonna need to make a phone call. I mean, people may say out there's still probably existing payphones out there, but hardwired. And I remember a couple of years ago when you say to someone, they go, they don't even have. Some people don't even have. A lot of people don't even have hardwired cell phones in their house. I mean, hardwired phones, landlines.
Yeah, that's gone.
That's gone. That's gone by the wayside because you're paying for it. Everyone wants. You got one number. How you want to give people two numbers? Well, this is my home phone, and they still have online when you have to fill out information or anything like that with someone. They actually give you a home number and your cell number. You go, my cell number is my home number. Who did So
yeah,
but they had time if you
No,
were a
what you
wise
say?
person.
I think I think
If you had pay phones.
anybody
What?
yeah,
What?
no, anybody under 30. You were saying before. Well, anybody under 30, you don't have a landline.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Oh, I said that to someone. My ex-wife said that to the AT&T representative one time back in 2001, 2002. And he said, "Well, maybe we'll just go with a cell phone." And they laughed. They laughed at us. And look who's laughing now. But they had time. People, I'm sure you have time when it's happening over the course of years, just like when people started seeing the payphone revenues dropping off and the landline revenues dropping off, and drive-in movie theaters, VHS videotape rentals, and then DVD rentals, right? DVD. I mean, it's shorter and shorter. You thought, wow, Blockbuster's gone, right? Because you'd go into a Blockbuster video place and they had all these VHS tapes, and then they switched over to DVDs. And then if you look at it, a DVD, like the machine they have in the mall, the Red Box, they have it in stores and stuff like that, and still around for people, even though it's probably generating, gosh, 1/5 of what it did at its heyday. Maybe I'm just picking that number off the top of my head, but that's it. It's on the other side of that. People don't even have DVD players anymore because they stream. If you have internet access, you're streaming movies and stuff like that. And they could, when the Redbox came out, they said, we could put thousands of movies in this box. It's a big box, 2.5 feet deep, or 3 feet deep, or whatever you want, 3 feet wide. You could put thousands of movies in there, and that's pretty much the size of how many movies they'd have in a Blockbuster, right?
Yeah,
and they have them all lined up.
Interesting movies.
Well, yeah, and they just come in and put it.
That's the question. Once you start, just like with restaurants, with mom and pop restaurants, let's say, they get it wiped out, and so it's going to be.
Well, I mean that happened. This thing happened over. This thing happened overnight. The only thing that equated is after 9/11 with the airline industry that affected it. It didn't affect it as a slowdown. It just changed its operations, how people get on the plane, and what security procedures they go through now. But this restaurant thing happened in 1 month. What?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that you start getting corporations involved, and Netflix, any other streaming service, and a lot of them don't have, let's say, the best movies. For somebody like me, anyway. I don't consider myself an elitist, but I don't watch all the Avengers movies, And you go to the Cineplex anymore, and most of it's pitched toward lowest common denominator. I guess I'm one of those guys who used to go to and I still do, the art houses, the art movie houses. But you can't find those very easily on streaming. So it may be contributing to the
you can't get
dumbing
them
down of America.
For free. You can't get them for free, but they are available. Almost everything now. I'm talking. I used to go to the maybe not as much as you, but I used to go to one called the in Philadelphia. There was a chain of and they could have been in other cities, called the Ritz Movie Theater, and the Ritz always had this art house films. Into Thin Air, The King of Hearts, Amelie, all those foreign
Yeah.
films and not for
Right.
wide release movies. Well, you go on your
Yeah.
smart TV and you check it, and they'll show all the services that it's available on and how you can buy it. Like I haven't seen um, the documentary "The Civil War" by Ken Burns in a long time. And I said, well, I bet
Yeah.
it's available, and it was available, but it's very expensive. Holy crap! They were talking.
Yeah.
I think there was,
Well,
I think there was at least 10 episodes to it, the Civil War, and it was over
who's that on?
$100.
Was
It
that
was
on
over
HBO?
$100. It was over $100 to buy.
Yeah, but it was originally on HBO.
No,
Might
no,
still
it was
be able
on.
to get it on
It was on
HBO,
public
but that's
television.
where it was.
What?
PBS. PBS.
Yeah, PBS.
Yeah. PBS. Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
it was great. But
Yeah.
the restaurant industry was hit flat-footed with this. No idea out of the blue that this thing could happen. That we would get the uniqueness of this. And let me put it in perspective. When you have a flu, let's say if there was a bad flu, and it would just go through us, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. But it's the coronavirus. Now they're starting to find out that it's not going to go away. It could come back, come back, come back, and come back. And it's going to always.
Yeah.
So we could, if it disappears in an area and we choose to live like we did before, and I mean, some people. Sweden is doing a little different. Sweden isn't really doing a lot of this stuff that we're doing. You notice that? Do you ever hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweden is practicing social distance, no stay-at-home orders, and things like that. So, but it's a different, less densely populated country. So, we'll see how that. Yeah, it just see how that works. But the idea that there was a time that you could see a trend has disappeared because this hit us overnight. Yes.
Yeah. No, I was going to say we're finding out that we live in a little burg that's near Malaga in Spain, and our little burg is called Benalmádena. And there have been less than 10 cases of coronavirus there.
10 cases
Malaga
total?
has been hit pretty hard.
Uh-huh.
Hmm?
How many people live
Yeah.
in that town?
So, Benalmádena, I don't know. It's there are three parts to the town. There's the beach, and then further up the hill, if you will, is the commercial district, and then up on the mountain is what they call Pueblo, which is one of the Spanish white towns, those little white towns. So, I don't know, multiple thousands of people, but not not the concentration, not the it's not the party town that Malaga is.
Yeah, and it's certainly not as densely populated as Madrid.
Exactly, Madrid, or what's the other one? Barcelona. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be good for us as far as getting back there.
Oh, you're still are you looking to that now?
Well, keep track of it. They keep saying what they're going to do, and then they keep saying what they're going to do again.
Uh-huh.
So as of right now, things could start opening gradually from May into June.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe some room for us to sneak back in then.
Oh.
So we'll have to see.
Okay. Well, you could do kind of like a reverse.
Yeah.
What was that? When they're trying to sneak out of Spain. Sneaking into Spain during The Great Escape.
Yeah,
It
that's right.
was James Coburn was sneaking into Spain. Okay, we're going to get into this section. Well, we say the restaurant industry was hit flat-footed. Now, how would they know? But the one thing aspect of the service industry and the small part that it provided, liquor, liquor, liquor sales are
Yeah,
are have increased, and they're saying, and this is sales of spirits on the first week of the mass shutdowns and stuff. Spirits, I'm going to give you some statistics, and listen to this. It's kind of
yeah,
intuitive. You can figure this out. Liquor went up 50%. The liquor sales. The largest increase was in the 1.75 liter bottles, and the smallest increase
yeah.
was in the 3.375 bottles, or the 375 milliliter bottles,
Yeah,
which
half a liter, or
like a
something,
pint,
whatever.
like the
Yeah,
pint thing.
yeah, 1/3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what you see people but purchasing was they were getting their liquor for the long hauls. I don't even make me and the the really strange things is the largest increases was in economy and budget brands outselling the premium liquors 2 to 1,
sure.
2 to 1
Yeah,
because people they weren't making money, so they went. And then we have a breakdown of liquors. Prior to the outbreak, tequila consumption. These are numbers in the United States, has been going up in the United States, and tequila
yeah,
sales went up 75%, followed closely by gin, and wine sales went up 66%. Beer went up 42%. Canned cocktails went up 93%. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know why people would buy canned cocktails. That'd be like vodka cranberry and things like that because people just can't realize how to mix a
crazy
vodka and
bastards.
cranberry. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah, you can make
Crazy
so much.
bastards.
Yeah. But, you hear jokes about people saying Corona beer going down and stuff.
Yeah,
Corona sales, out of all beers, Corona went up the most.
oh, I'm sure.
Corona went up the increase in sales. On online sales went up 250%, and
Yeah,
the sales of the online orders and wine orders for one particular company, this one called Wink, it's an online consumer wine club, went up almost 600%. 600%. So 6 times. And
yeah,
online orders are speculating that online orders went up. The size of the orders
yeah,
went up 20%. So you have the
yeah,
increase,
yeah,
you have a commensurate, you have this drastic increase in sales, right? And then you have
yeah,
a 20% increase in the size of the orders. Okay, so if your business went up three times and then 20% of, I mean, it's incredible. So I imagine the in-house buying is the same. So this offset, even though the liquor being bought by restaurants has dwindled greatly, and they did try to mitigate that by allowing, I guess, if it was for some restaurants to be able to maintain a bar staff, just have, this is the bone they
take
gave to the
out.
bartender. The bone they gave to the bartender in a lot of states is curbside cocktails.
Curbside. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
but in some states, well, they actually make it onerous the way some of the states said they got to be able to be in a non-tamper proof container. So not only
Right.
it's not an easy job, and it's just making the drink on its own. But just think of this:
Yeah,
once you make it, you got to seal it into some kind of container
You got to seal it.
that when you take it
That's
home, there's
right.
no straw going into it or something. You can't drink it till you get home. Sealed in a bag and all that stuff.
Right.
So you're driving up the price
Yeah.
and stuff. Like you make it more onerous on it for the packaging. So that's got to drive up the
Yeah.
price. And how long? If you're
Yeah.
thinking people are making their own bread at home, you can't buy flour. You can't buy all these baking goods. I'm telling you, I've made a pie. I've made some pies. I made 2 different pies. I made 2 pound cake. I made all this stuff from scratch at home. So people aren't going to figure out how to make a margarita at home. You're going to pay. You're going to
Yeah.
pay $14 or $15 for a margarita.
I actually prefer my alcohol as a pretty straightforward IV drip.
Oh, just like the bleach, right? Take it internally.
No, there was that thing going around years ago. Not that I ever tried it, but it was curious. Of wine enemas
Yeah.
as a delivery system.
Oh, we
It
did
was
that on the
supposed
show.
to be
Was that on it?
very
Yeah.
immediate,
They
right?
did that with women's sanitary tampons. If you soak them in
But,
liquor, right?
yeah,
You put it in,
Yeah.
you insert it in your rectum, and
Yeah.
that makes for a delivery of alcohol, so you don't smell like alcohol, but you still get it delivered
Right.
directly to your bloodstream. Yeah, the wine
Yeah.
enema.
No, my
that
favorite.
sounds awfully messy.
Yeah, well, no, not if you use a slingshot.
What? A
To
slingshot?
deliver that. Well, not if you use a slingshot to
This
deliver
isn't
that
the first.
tampon
This isn't the
into your
first.
into your butt.
Isn't the first
What?
discussion you had about someone sticking something that's normally not put in their rectum, like the one was the
It's
gerbil,
prehistoric.
one, and all that.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
you spent an inordinate
Yeah.
amount of time thinking about that. I wasn't even considering that, but
Well,
you,
the
introduced
I know,
it
but
twice
you don't-
into our
The
conversation.
thing is, what you do is remember, PETA, whatever it's called.
PETA, People for the
No,
Ethical
the-
Treatment of
the-
Animals. Yeah.
Yeah, they objected to the gerbil insertions, and I was like, right, if you can prove to me that the gerbils didn't like it, I could get down with that. But otherwise, how do you know?
Oh, you're not one that anthropomorphized. So how would you? So you
Gerbil.
don't have any problem with the whole livestock industry then?
I'm not
because
gonna-
You
I'm
don't
not
know
gonna-
if
I'm
chickens
not gonna-
don't-
yes, I'm
chickens
not
may
gonna-
like to be overcrowded.
I'm not gonna project my emotions, my thoughts onto a gerbil. The gerbil is after going to tell me, I don't like this, and then I'll get down with PETA.
Well, it's
Otherwise,
actually,
how do we know?
I think it's an interpretation, right? And I think you're down with the interpretation because you were someone that analyzed brainwaves, and brainwaves didn't tell you exactly when someone was agitated or when they were in a mellow state. You had to interpret it through deductive reasoning.
No, but,
And
you know,
deductive
yeah, but
reasoning would tell you
no,
when
no.
a gerbil is upset that it doesn't really want to be inserted up someone's anal cavity. Did I just put you in a
So
tough
they should
spot?
have, suggesting gerbils should have little electrodes on their heads before insertion.
No, you interpret brain waves with corresponding.
Yeah.
So use deductive reasoning or use empirical reasoning to come up with your. So that's what PETA uses. They can tell by stress, stress levels in animals that
No.
see. I could play your game.
What game?
That game, because you're saying that the gerbil has to tell you directly that, but mostly people have to. You have to make
No, but you have to like if I have electrodes on somebody and they're showing me a particular frequency of brainwave, that's a particular type of brainwave, I can stop them and I say, what were you just thinking? What were you just doing? What were you just feeling? And then they can tell me. And if you get a consensus on that you know that type of brainwave reflects that sort of thinking or feeling or whatever. And so you kind of know that. But gerbils don't typically talk the same language that we do. So we don't know.
But
You
animal,
just don't
I
know.
mean, we know if they avoid some stimuli that it's not a pleasurable one. That's how they come up with cattle prods and
Right.
all these things, and how the direct
Right.
horses and all
No,
these
not
things.
well. No, that's a pretty direct one. But you see, I'm just not that deep into it. I think there's a ton in there. But with
Here,
the
okay.
gerbils, what I'm saying is, we don't have a good way. We don't have a good way of debriefing them after the experience.
Well,
you know?
listen, you really do
And
have
like,
a fascination with it, and I'm surprised you didn't get into that
Hey.
more often. But I do have it's not necessarily
What? I'm
statistic.
surprised I didn't get into gerbil insertion and debriefing.
No, and yeah, I'm
Is that what
sure
you
there's
said?
a way you could have went went to some animal behavioralist and talk about what is a general reaction to negative stimuli, you know, and you could say would it be
Yeah.
similar in almost any biological system, you know.
Well,
Whether
yeah,
some's
I think
attracted to
that's-
something that's attracted to something pleasant.
That's the one.
Like they found that there's tree
Right.
roots. They did a study on this, that tree roots, they noticed people that do a lot of plumbing and stuff like that, it was a generalized anecdotal evidence that for some reason tree roots would seek out plumbing pipes. And it was always
Sure.
the idea.
Water.
It was always the idea that the plants were seeking out the plumbing because of moisture, right? They were
Right.
seeking water.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was a study done, and I saw this in a TED talk, or was it? It was TED Radio Hour on NPR, and they said
Yeah.
once they made adjustments to it and secured and would mask the piping so there's no moisture, there's no hint of moisture, and then what the biggest determination on whether the path the roots took to get to the pipe was noise. It was attracted to the noise of running liquid.
And
Isn't that crazy? Noise. It was a sound.
it was noise?
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It's a
It
noise.
wasn't humidity or moisture or precipitation. It was noise. It was an
It's noise.
It was an auditory
Yeah.
sense, and that's a plant. Where a plant would react to an auditory stimuli.
Well,
Isn't that?
it's
isn't that
vibratory.
what?
You know,
Not the
you
positive.
don't have to have ears. It's vibration. It's vibration.
Yeah. Well.
You know, the noise of pipes.
Okay,
It's-
you're right.
it's vibration.
Okay, there you go. Vibration. Still
Are
different.
you? A question, Jim. Are you putting this forth as an argument against indoor plumbing?
No, not at all. Not at all. No,
Okay,
what I was
okay,
going to say,
just checking.
there's things that, what I'm suggesting is that there's things that would seem apparent that aren't necessarily true. And so
Okay.
several governments, several states decided to attempt to restrict, we said in the beginning of this, that alcohol or liquor sales wasn't essential, right? But there was...
Oh,
So, but there was behavioralists and people. They factored in. Well, if we didn't do it, then there were several other problems. It wouldn't mollify. They used it. People say, well, it's a way of mollifying the population, right? Because some people treat themselves. It was a preventative for the people that have what was it, AUD, alcohol usage or something disorder. I should know that one, but it's some people that are really heavy users of alcohol. They don't want them to go into withdrawal. And there was the economic one that that a black market could emerge. And then, but there was people on the opposing side thinking, well, if you're running a state store system, they don't want the state to incur the liability having their workers having to serve people. And they thought maybe that curtailing alcohol sales would have a more of a benefit than a drawback. And they thought the whole thing out. And they did it in Pennsylvania, starting in early March. And they also did it in South Africa. South Africa, the one of their ministers, they banned the sale of alcohol and tobacco during the crisis, and they saw a commensurate drop. I'm not saying commensurate. I shouldn't say that. They saw a drop in murder, assault, and rape. But the weird thing about it, the one thing you think it would, they did not see a corresponding drop in domestic violence.
Right.
Now,
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, I think that was probably, if they didn't see an increase, that may be a drop. You know what I'm saying? If you don't see an increase, that's as good as a drop. Meaning if it stayed static. If it stayed static in the United States, I'd say that's a drop. Because people are in closer proximity and stuff like that. I have noticed that there's been mentions on Facebook, and once again, anecdotal. I've seen people. One person said, "I just took my husband and I just gave our rings back to each other after 20 years of happy marriage. We decided to call it quits, and all this stuff. And it's like all this extra time together. I mean, there's going to be that." We were talking about the restaurant industry. I can't imagine what somebody's home life is like, especially in these big cities where you can't even get out.
There's a cute little 30-second clip on YouTube. Right. I may have sent it to you, maybe I didn't. But there's this very almost robotic voice. It's a Big Brother voice. And there's just a single guy in the frame, and it's just sort of a close-up on his face. And the robotic voice is saying, "You have been chosen to self-quarantine. Mm-hmm. But you have two choices."
We talked about that last week.
Choice A.
You talked about it.
Oh, I mentioned that.
Yeah, because the guy goes and he says, stay with your family and your children, and B, and he goes B, and he picked B right away. B. What we did? Hey, you can't. That was what you said it at the end of the show. You said it at the end of the show.
Yeah.
It's like you're a robot.
Right.
You know what? I think you're a robot. Joel.
You think I am?
Yeah, I think you're a robot.
Yeah. I am a very small percentage cyborg.
I think. Do you ever listen to our episodes?
I had cataract surgery, so one of my eyes is a cyborg artificial lens.
Yeah. Okay. Do you ever? So
I'm getting there, but I'm not quite brain in a bottle yet.
Do you listen to our episodes? Do you ever listen to our episodes?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I can find them. Sometimes I can't find them.
You can't find them?
because you don't. Yeah, I mean, used to be that you would record them not live, and I never knew when you were dropping them.
Well, these are found
So,
right. These go up
sometimes,
every 15 minutes after 20 minutes after or an hour after we do it.
yeah, yeah, I've listened to a few.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to hear the divide and you're going to say, how can I make my audio better? Because you're going to hear my voice and it's going to drown out your message, Joel.
Yeah, I got no message, Jim.
It's going to drown. It's going to drown.
You know that.
What? You got the message?
I'm
What's the
just,
message?
I have no message.
Everyone
message?
has a message. I really believe that. I know you have a message. Yours is always about don't
No, I
stress.
don't. I really don't.
I think your message is.
I really
I'm
don't.
going to tell you what your message is.
But let me ask you this.
What?
No, let me ask you this, Jim. Here's the thing that's got me most curious.
What?
So it looks like maybe the beginning of May, they're going to open up restaurants in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And is the catch going to come on board?
I don't know yet. I haven't spoken to the owners yet, but they'll tell me. I'll be.
Yeah.
But I mean.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, Monroe County isn't opening up to tourism till the end of May. At the earliest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
So what's going to happen?
Wow.
What's going to happen is, if they open up, it's going to be to local business. The people that haven't been getting money, are. I haven't. It's been almost 6 weeks. I haven't worked, and the state hasn't.
Yeah.
Released. They may have released money to people, but the unemployment they haven't. I mean, it's been a chore. I spent a minimum of 25 hours working, going to the website and reapplying and stuff. Not that that's much work. I mean, I don't think it was designed. If it was designed to take up your time like that, I think it's kind of malicious. If it was, they finally tried to fix it, I think. But who knows? People will say, "Well, it wasn't designed to handle this" and stuff like that. Well, you know what? You got to be careful. You got to make technology scalable, right? To be able to handle an influx, just like you would a network, like a highway or an electric company. You got to make it scalable. If there's a draw on, you have to do that. So. Put your big boy pants on, and I haven't been railing. I mean, I've done maybe 25, 30 episodes, and I didn't talk about not being able to get. It took weeks to get a application in for Abby because it kept on getting her locked out, and in the end, they're probably going to refuse it because she's a 1099 employee. But so. I'm going to. It's funny. They're on one hand, the governor wants to open up business and stuff like that. On the other hand, he doesn't want to do it quick because he worries about that. But they're not really doing anything to really make sure people are. They're not updating people and saying, "Oh, well, listen, you're going to get this, and we're going to help you with this. We're going to try to keep your bills down, and stuff like that." So, down here, much like any place else, we see in the supermarkets, and I'm sure you see it up there that the prices have been going up. Even though the fuel prices are dropping, so the transportation of the goods has actually gotten cheaper, but the processing has gone up. So. My answer is if the restaurant opens up, I'll go there. And the Catch intends to open up, even though we said there's speculation that 50% of restaurants are going to open up. I don't know how. We aren't as dependent as some of the bigger restaurants on tourism. Okay?
That's right. You're local. You have locals.
But then again, the locals are dependent on incomes too. So I don't know. I think what we do see initially is a surge, and with the social distancing, we'd have to adhere to like 50% capacity, I think, and the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely going to be making a lot less because we're going to have to, space people out, take a couple, only have like six, maybe six chairs around the bar because you have to have them 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
One person on the end there. Maybe it's
Yeah.
18, maybe 18 feet. We got three on this side, three on that. We might be able to have 8 chairs around the bar, other than having
Yeah.
22, or maybe 7. Who knows? Chairs around the bar, and we're just gonna have to deal with it. The restaurant,
Yeah.
and we're probably maybe face masks and stuff like that. Some of our regulars are older people too, so I don't know if they'll be coming out.
Yeah.
There's going to be the diehards coming out. They've probably been working out the whole time. Construction people,
Yeah.
there is construction going on all over the place here.
Interesting.
Yep. Well, because the permit, they have,
Yeah.
you're closing down on the build permits down here, so that's
Yeah.
going on, and it's political season. So tomorrow I have. Oh, you may find this interesting. Tomorrow I'm interviewing
Yeah.
Daniel Horton Diaz. He's running for state senator in the 36th district in the Florida Senate, and he's going to be on a show. We're going to dedicate the whole show on that. And next Monday, I'm being interviewed by this podcaster, Jerry Brazzi. He's a multi-millionaire, worth, I don't know, some crazy amount of money, and he has a podcast. And he's a
Good going.
yeah. I'm on that. I have a couple interviews coming up. We had a huge spike in listenership, and we have an additional sponsor. We have DeKind. It's DAKIND, 2 separate words, DA and Kind, KIND, CBG products. Are you familiar with CBD and CBG products?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you? I mean, I guess that came around a lot, after exploded after you retired. But these products are they have very low THC levels in them, if they have any at all.
That's my beef. That's my beef with them, Jim.
You want more? Okay. Well, there's some of them that do. Not this particular company. They said in cannabinoid. There's a network in our body, a cannabinoid network, right? You ever hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is supposed to address like issues with inflammation, anxiety, general well-being, all sorts of things. And if you really want to find out, all you can do is a little research. But the sponsor is thekind.com. You can find them. I'll post it in the notes on the show, and I'll put it on our website under sponsors. I don't know if I put that in there. I got to go in there and do that tomorrow, maybe before I do the show. But DAKIND.com, company owned by my friend Kanaho, and they have some great products available. They got some edibles and oil and whole lots of other things. They have them available online, and locally they have them in some of the stores. And we also have Bellissima wines. Bellissima. You know Bellissima? You know the word Bellissima? It's like Bella, Bellissima. And BELLISSIMA. And you can go and find us under sponsors under keysbartender.com. Yes.
Jim, before we run out of time, I got something I want to say hello.
Who is it, Gabby or Megan?
I guess that would be me. Yeah.
It's Gabby.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
It's Gabby, yeah.
Hi, Gabby. I didn't know. I can't tell by
healthy?
your voice. Yes, we are healthy. We are healthy.
And your whole family?
Yes, we are. We're coping. We're coping with the new normal here. with homeschooling.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
doing all
What
sorts
grade
of
is your daughter in?
7th.
7th. Oh, so you've got some algebra, things like that to do?
Yes, yes. Now
Math? Stuff
your
like
voice
that,
is,
yeah.
yeah. We're doing that language arts, little science. We're
Uh-huh.
attempting to construct
Uh-huh.
a Rube Goldberg device, and
Really?
a machine for her
Mhm.
class. I guess that's a physics project, and we have some
Wow.
civics work to do and language arts, which is English.
Well, I guess you're keeping busy. I once helped my son on an English paper, and he got the lowest grade he ever got. So be careful.
Oh, I know. I know.
Sorry.
Sometimes I know how that happens. Sometimes that.
But anyway,
I
it's
did-
good to
I-
hear. It's good to hear your voice. I'm glad.
Oh, thank you, and I hope you're having a good time with
I'm glad you're doing well.
Megan and.
You're having a good time. Yeah. I almost feel guilty. I mean, it's like almost like a party here. I hate to say it, but they're so cute and they're so fun. So
Oh yeah.
we're doing well.
Do you have it?
And they have
Yeah.
wine. Wine is flowing all over.
Do you have party games you play? Do you play like Cranium or anything like that?
No, but we haven't played. They like Cards Against Humanity. Is that what it's
Cards
called?
Against Humanity.
Have you ever played that one?
Incredible game.
Yeah,
Oh, it's hilarious.
yeah. It is pretty funny.
Oh.
We played it not this time, but the last time. But I'm sure we'll play it at least once while we're here.
There's one you might like. And
Yeah, it gets
easy
pretty
one.
rowdy.
There's one easy one to get to
What?
learn. It's called the Pit. The Pit.
The Pit?
Pit.
What is
P-I-T.
it? A game?
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
The premise sounds boring. It's a card game. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And it's eight.
Uh-huh.
It's 6 or 8 different commodities, right? It's commodity trading. It sounds like a floor on a stock exchange, and you sit there and you're trading. You're trying to get a set. You're always trying to get a set. You're trading with people back and forth, and it's best when you have 3, 4, 5, 4 people going at each other, and you do, and everyone's talking at the same time.
Like the real floor. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds
I don't
exactly.
think they have that.
It is funny. It is funny. Yeah, have a couple.
Okay.
I look at here I am. I don't drink.
Have a couple
now.
of drinks
I
first.
don't drink anymore, and here I say, have a couple.
I
of drinks.
know.
I never have a problem having a good time with something like that. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if they have it. All right. Take care. Here's Joel.
Thank you, Gabby.
Hey,
That
I have a
was nice.
thought.
I think it's your
Could we
voice.
do?
What?
Could
What?
we do instead of phone to get a better signal from me? Could we do Skype?
Yeah, sure.
We should try that one. I think we can regulate that better.
Okay. Funny. Gabby came out a lot
Yeah.
clearer. Gabby came out a lot clearer.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you
well,
talking into? Do you have a can? Are you trying to sound like Darth Vader?
I just, she's, I admit it. She's just superior.
I didn't say that. I didn't say she was better. I said clearer. I didn't say.
No, I'm saying that.
Okay.
I'm
I
saying
didn't know
that.
if you were doing that. Okay. Well, listen.
No, in every way.
Do you want to? When you know what? I'll talk to you in the midweek on Wednesday and find out a good time for you.
All right, Wednesday. That sounds good.
You want to do Wednesday? Wait. Wednesday,
Yeah.
you call up to find a time, or do you want to do it on Wednesday?
No, Wednesday is fine. I think.
Wait a second. I might have this guy for
right
Wednesday.
now it's open.
Let me see. I may have someone for Wednesday. I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got someone on Wednesday. It's 4:00.
Yeah.
So.
Will you tell me what time? You're a busy man.
No.
Why don't
I'm
you
doing a
message
show
me?
tomorrow.
Yeah, text me.
I think I'm doing 2 shows tomorrow. 4, yep. Oh, Lee Sharp 4 tomorrow, and Papa Joe 4 Wednesday. So I'm doing 2 shows tomorrow and 1 Wednesday. So how about Thursday?
Thursday, I think is good.
Thursday at 3:30?
Yeah, you want to try a Skype thing and see if that works better?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Skype audio. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, yeah, because we don't post videos, so that'd be, I mean, okay.
Yeah, or maybe it has to be Skype video, so I can do it on my
Okay,
computer.
so we're going to do
I don't
it
know.
Thursday, right? Thursday it is.
Yeah.
Thursday at
All right,
3:30.
3:30.
Yep,
Okay, and Skype video.
I got you.
I'll
Yep.
send you an invite. Okay.
Well, you
Cool.
got you see my thing right now? There it is.
I can't. I
You can
can't
see-
see your thing right now, Jim. Maybe
Oh.
if you wiggled it a little.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you. Thanks for making it weird. Okay, Joel. Until Thursday, I'll see you.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, thank you for spending time with us. Oh my gosh, it's been over an hour. Once again, I'm going to play this Keys Bartender music, but you can go to, you'll find the group www.dakind.com, DAKIND, for CBG products, oil, edibles. Be happy to ship them to you. And we also, if you go to the website, keysbartender.com, you can find our sponsor under sponsors page, and that'll be Bellissima Wines, BELLISSMA, for fine Prosecco, sparkling whites, organics, low sugar alternatives to wines. And since you're stuck at home, maybe a good idea to get a shipment. I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much, and have a great day.